Welcome to the Play Create podcast. I'm Kirsten Gunnerud.
And I'm Jill Johnson.
This is a place to explore play and creativity.
It is, and this is where we come together and we play and create forward, which means that we give momentum to our ideas and our thoughts that have been kind of keeping us up every night.
Yeah, in every aspect of life, work, parenting, you name it, there's no place we won't go and explore.
And when it gets down to it, we just want to have fun.
So I have Jill Shroyer of Expedition HR back with me today, and I'm so excited because one of the things from our last conversation that really grabbed me was when you talked about gratitude in the workplace. And you hear about it a lot. I've been hearing it for years. I think Oprah maybe started, I know she wasn't the original author of it, but she really helped propel this idea of how important gratitude is a long time ago. So we've heard about it a lot, some of us in our personal lives and things like that, but at work, like, how do we bring gratitude into work? And especially, how do we bring gratitude into work at a time like this that presents so many challenges? And so I can't wait to dive into how you work with that and how you bring that to life for the companies and the leaders and the people that you work with.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me back, Kirsten.
Yeah.
It's always so fun to chat with you, and what a great place to have this conversation about gratitude. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
So, gosh, there's so much on gratitude. When I was thinking about this, I thought, my gosh, you and I could probably talk all day about gratitude. There's so many just ways to do it personally, ways to do it at work. But like you say today, it'd be fun to focus on work, really interesting times and really important times to focus on gratitude in the workplace. So I just thought I'd start out.
I just want to say, my belief is work and life aren't as separate as we tend to think they are, right? And so this idea of, and it makes me laugh that it has never occurred to me, not that it isn't there in ways, but never to speak to it directly on the work side of things, because I'm such a believer that what benefits you in life will benefit you at home and parent and everything. So of course, gratitude makes sense at work. So I think everything you're going to share, while we're going to talk about it in the work environment, are things that people can use in their day-to-day life just as easily, I'm thinking. But let's see what you have to share.
Totally. Absolutely. I love that you brought that up. It's kind of just life lessons on gratitude and folding it into the workplace and showing the listeners maybe some actual ways to do that. So yeah. I always like to start talking about gratitude. Two key things. It doesn't have to be monetary. You don't have to always give a gift or something of value, a gift card. And also, gratitude is so much more than the words thank you. I think people get a little bit stuck and overthink gratitude. And so I like to point that out before we go into the examples. Also, too, I think some people hesitate to even say words of gratitude because they think, oh, I'm going to feel silly. Like, oh, I like that person's shirt. But if I say it, I might sound silly, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they won't take the compliment the way I mean it. And I just think, don't overthink gratitude. And that, I think, is the most beautiful thing about gratitude. And hopefully, although we are kind of giving some specific examples, I hope people will take it and improvise and really use it for the scenarios that apply to them.
Yeah.
Another way I like to look at it is, it's like anything. It feels a little uncomfortable at first, maybe working a new muscle. You go to the gym and you haven't worked out, or you haven't worked a certain muscle, but you keep doing it, and eventually, the first couple times, your muscle will be sore, and eventually your muscle won't be sore, and you'll have this great muscle that you need to maintain, but it's not so new and hard and such effort to get it the way you want. So there's, like, I kind of call them like the pillars of gratitude that have really worked for me. And I feel like I've just made this a part of my life so much that I've even had people comment, and it makes me feel really good because I do it sometimes without knowing it. And that, I feel like, is the place I know I want to be. Life is just better. Like you say, at work, when you're by yourself, just off in your personal life, everything is better when you can focus on gratitude. So, and last kind of key point is sincerity. Going back to, just say things from the heart. You and I had a little chat before, Kirsten, about just, I think that's such a key of gratitude, is just saying what you're feeling. Don't feel silly about it. That's when I think some of the most beautiful things can come of gratitude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a powerful tool, and it means so much to people to hear and to know. One of my favorite people, whose name I'm not going to be able to, where is my little book? Leon, I'm not going to be able to say his name right. Logothetis, I think.
Love it. That works.
He does the kindness diaries. And his belief is that people just want to be heard.
Yes.
And so he has built a whole show of going places and just listening and appreciating people for what they have to bring. And then his gratitude back is how he can help them after they've already shared so much. And I haven't thought about it before, but his whole thing is gratitude. Even though he talks about it being kindness, his whole thing is gratitude. And it changes it. Kindness, gratitude kind of go hand in hand. And when you're bringing that, you are changing, you're transforming the people around you, and how that interaction's happening, and how important people feel to your experience.
Yes, I love that you folded in kindness, because gratitude is so big. And again, I think people overthink it and don't do it because, it has to be this or that, or what's a gratitude journal, and what do I even write in that? I feel silly. And it's smiling at someone when they walk by and making eye contact, smiling, even saying hello. It's kind of a different way of saying thanks for being there in the space I was today. I smile at a lot of people as I go by, and I do get a lot of strange looks, but I think that's just it's infectious. It's a neat way to be. And I want to be
our world has changed so much. When my daughter was little, she would make people pictures, and everywhere she went, she had a smile and wanted to say hi to everyone. This was when she was pretty little. And she'd sometimes give people pictures. Most of the time she would just, hi, like everyone was her long lost best friend. And it shocked me how many people were uncomfortable with that. And yet, so you'd see the discomfort, and then you'd see them kind of melt. And then you'd see them, as they were literally walking by, you'd see them kind of shake, and then it would hit them. And it was so powerful how this little girl, just by extending some kindness and extending I see you, could transform that person's experience that went from first pure shock, because we just don't do that enough anymore, and into that. And I didn't know I knew we've talked about kindness and gratitude, but again, I'm just realizing as we're talking how completely intertwined those two things are, and the difference that they make together.
Yes.
So
yes.
How what's a work scenario that you could bring to life where someone might be able to bring kindness, maybe in an unexpected place, where typically that's kind of the last thing someone thinks belongs in that conversation? How can you do it that way?
I'd love to share some examples. So one of my favorites is just the everyday scenario, how to fold that into everyday life. And let's just take a work example. So let's take some place like Smith's grocery store, located where we're located, or a Home Depot, which is located across the country. Those places did not close during COVID, aren't closed. Nothing has really changed there as far as they still need workers, probably more workers. So as a manager, or even an owner, if they ever visit the store, or whoever, if they just walk through and turn to an employee and look them in the eye, maybe smile and say, thank you, and state their name for being here today. You have a choice where you work. This isn't an easy time, but I'm so thankful you chose to work here. We're lucky to have you. Thank you. I even kind of got a little bit of chills when I said that, thinking if someone approached me and said that, let's take a Smith's cashier right now. If you go in to buy some milk or anything, or any grocery store really, and you look them in the eye and you say, thanks for being here. This isn't easy for anyone, but thank you for being here. You're important, and thank you. That is going to make an impact. I don't think anyone could tell you it wouldn't. So that's kind of just an everyday example. And granted, I would say thank you as kind of more traditional words of gratitude.
Yeah.
Other words of gratitude, I appreciate, I'm lucky, you make me feel happy today. Things like that. Then people think, why would I say that? Well, I've told people, seeing you today, Kirsten, made me feel happy.
Yeah.
Gosh, I would love it if someone said those type of things to me. So I try and think of different ways to express it.
What I love about what you're saying too, I'm sitting here thinking, one of the things I work with people individually and teams on is how much power, for lack of a better word, you have, right? And even the leader or coworker or whatever who's just been under the gun and trying to manage things and stressed out to the yin yang, and feels like the last thing they have within them is to extend some gratitude because everything's going wrong and they're frustrated with everyone, and oh my God, just the act of choosing to do this will transform you and your team's experience. And so even though it feels like it is the last thing possible to find that gratitude in there, you can find something in everyone, I'm guessing, to say thank you for, even if everything else maybe hasn't been up to par. And just that simple act of doing that genuinely will help shift the dynamics, not only of the team, but for yourself. I think I repeated myself, but
yeah, no, I think it's a great point to hit home.
Yeah.
I love that. And another thing about gratitude is if you can be specific, it's great to do every day, just thank yous. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for the choice you made to be here working with me. But something like a project. Hey, Sally, thanks for doing such a great job on that sales forecasting report. The way you broke down our clients, not only in geographic region, but also by their characteristics. That was a terrific idea. Great job. Yeah. Something like that, maybe. And gosh, that employee is going to, their day will be made. And some people out there might be thinking, yeah, well, maybe a bonus or a monetary reward. Those can't hurt, but there's actually research that says that those don't really boost people up or increase retention rates at employers as much as just the words you use. And I'm sure out there somewhere it says employers who express more gratitude have better retention. There has to be a correlation there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I've seen, I don't know about, again, the specific word gratitude, but again, when people are acknowledging each other, when there is that kind of communication and flow on a team, and there's all kinds of research that people aren't always looking for the monetary, they're looking for the experience, what that experience is like. And this is one of those things that highly enhances that experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you do? Okay, you've got this person who is so good at what they do and so hard to work with. And yes, they're kicking it with their sales numbers or whatever it might be, but maybe not with the rest of how they're working, or I'm not sure. What would be a scenario like that?
Yeah. So I filled in a kind of a toolkit of things into conversations like that. Folding in gratitude, absolutely essential in almost every conversation. And we'll touch back on a couple more kind of situations where gratitude can be a key factor, but also being careful with words such as but or however in a sentence. So if you're saying, Kirsten, I'm thankful for this that you worked on and you did such a great job. With someone like you mentioned, we wouldn't want to lead in with, but we've got some problems with your attitude.
Yes.
You just took away all the goodness of the first part of the sentence. So things like that, I like to fold in. And also I think on our last conversation, you said the pause. I call them the powerful pause. They're so important in these conversations to emphasize both points of feedback and maybe points of improvement, but also the gratitude you express and the sincere compliments that you give someone. So I thought maybe if you're up for it, we could do a little scenario, the two of us.
I love it. Let's go. I got my, yes.
So Kirsten and I have a little idea about showing this one, and I think it would make sense to kind of ping pong back and forth, because if I just said it all or Kirsten said it all, it might not get the point across. So let's pretend that I am either an HR representative or perhaps a manager at a workplace or supervisor, really anyone that has to address something with this employee that they're really good. So in HR, we like to call these people the high performing jerks, because they're not doing anything illegal that we know of. There's really no reason why they might be let go, but they're just really hard to work with. And because of that, they might not have a long track with the company. So let's talk through and I can show you some ideas on how to handle that. So we're going to call Kirsten Jen for illustrative purposes. So we're sitting down for a conversation. So hi, Jen. Thanks for taking a few minutes to meet with me. How are things going with you and the sales team?
Oh, they're great. We just had a record quarter. I scored 3 new accounts last week, and we expect even better results next quarter.
Jen, that's amazing. Great work. It seems you have built a really great team who all know what it takes to get things done and to make the sale.
Yeah, but I've pulled most of the weight.
Tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that, Jen.
My team is good. There's no denying that. It's just sometimes they spend more time small talking than really getting anything done.
Okay. Well, do you manage those people? Are they peers? Tell me about those people you describe.
Not technically. I oversee them, but VP of sales is their technical manager.
Okay, well, when they're having these talks, do you typically approach them, or kind of what do you do in those scenarios?
Yes and no. When I do address it, I know I sound probably like I do right now, annoyed and short. But they just need to keep their eye on the goal. We're all working towards that. And that small talk stuff, that's for home. That's not for work. They're all friends. They hang out after work, and it annoys me. I'm in the office early. I work nights. I work weekends to ensure that I've got our customers taken care of, and they just don't have their priorities in the right place.
Well, it sounds like you take a lot of pride in your work, and that you even dedicate a lot of your personal time to these clients. And so here we're at ABC Company, we're really lucky to have you.
Yep.
So it's clear you're a valuable member of the team. There's no denying that. The concern I have is that others may not always feel like it's a team environment. I'd love your help in trying to work together to see what we can do to make the team a little more cohesive. Do you think, Jen, we could work on that together?
Sure.
Great. Well, let's start the conversations, and maybe you could perhaps note a few things and write down the things maybe that bother you, and then maybe a few things that could be done on both sides to improve the communication amongst the team. And I think we're going to come to really some good solutions. But if you could start by doing that, is that something you would be willing to do?
I would love to do that, because if that would help us really get, to a better place and I don't have to be annoyed so much, I would love that.
Great. Well, obviously that's a scenario where there's no denying that I've scripted it out, worked with Kirsten to try and make it a little bit more like reality. But oftentimes early on in a conversation like that, it will derail. The manager or whoever's listening, maybe HR, won't listen. They won't hear what is maybe annoying this employee, Jen. And so you probably heard some gratitude for the work she is doing. She is doing really good work. She's probably making the company a lot of money. And the manager took the time to listen, even though in their head they might be saying, I'm so annoyed by this. I can't even take a day more of these frustrations. I'm going to listen in sincerity to hear what she says. And to pause, not to say, well, you're a great employee, but you've got to work on these things. So hopefully some of those kind of themes came out of that.
I love that.
So,
and I love that inviting that person to get constructive in their ideas of how to shift it versus just be frustrated by what they're seeing, because it then opens the door to more conversation. And they're, rather than them being told what they're not doing well and what they have to fix and all this other stuff, it puts them in a proactive position to continue those conversations where ideas can be shared, to your point, and people don't stop listening, whether it's the HR person who just gets incredibly frustrated, or the manager, or the person who's, being asked to think a little bit differently about that.
yeah.
So what are some tools, like what are a couple things if we want people to we talked about a gratitude journal. You mentioned that at the very beginning, that's a tool people can use to start just bringing more gratitude into your life. But you have some really neat little tricks to really help start instilling this. And I want to challenge people, and I tend to prefer the word invite, but sometimes challenge gets
yes.
Gets us going a little bit more, to try over the next week and just see what happens. But when trying some of these things, give us some little ideas for beyond the talk and all the things we've talked about, some tangible things that help people remember to do this.
Yeah. So practice, obviously. And one way to practice, here's an idea. Take a few quarters in the morning and put them in one of your pants pockets or your shirt pocket, or even, sometimes you have an elastic band around your wrist if you have longer hair, or something that you can physically move maybe from one side to the other.
Yep.
And be thinking, okay, today, like you say, I'm going to challenge myself to use some words of gratitude X amount of times for as many of these things as I have. And each time you do it, again, I'm not saying, okay, check it off the list. We've done we've addressed 3 people with nice words of gratitude, but sincere, coming from a place of sincerity, take those quarters one at a time. And when you've made that compliment or comment on someone's work, put it in the other pocket. Like I say, I can't stress enough that it's not a check off the list, but this is a way to start making it more habit. So you bring up a gratitude journal. That works for a lot of people. And I have one. I don't always do it because I've just made such a routine of every morning, and now homeschooling every day, that's part of our morning kind of get going. We do the Pledge of Allegiance, we say what we're grateful for, we do a little meditation. It's just become a part of my life, and I feel like if I get going into the morning, something's missing. And so physically though, having the quarters or an elastic band to move from wrist to wrist is a great way to remember. And then if 1, 2, 3 o'clock comes and all those quarters are still in one pocket, you might be thinking, okay, don't be too hard on yourself. This is new, but maybe tomorrow I'm going to kind of rethink some ideas of how I can do this in the workplace. So, and another way too, you've probably heard the expression about, is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? That's a good guiding way also when you're giving feedback, or when you're addressing someone. Is it you saying it in a kind way? And is it necessary? You don't want it to sound like made up or just filling space or just small talk. And is it true? If you make a compliment, I will never give a compliment unless it's sincere, because I would just rather not say anything, just, to be nice.
I love those 3 questions, both for the gratitude, but also for when you're going to give criticism, constructive, like when there's something wrong, because a lot of times we pull things out that probably aren't necessary. Like that's the big one, right? So I think those
Yes.
3 questions are powerful just for kindness in general. And yes, like thinking about when and where you bring that gratitude and thinking about when and where you bring the other stuff. I love those. There's power in 3.
There absolutely is. One thing I wanted to bring up, Kirsten, which I failed to mention, was some of you might be asking, okay, so great, there's a project someone did well and you want to compliment them on that. We talked about that, the everyday example of, hey, just thanks for being here. So what if we have to make a tough decision during COVID-19 or otherwise about moving someone on? How do we say something? You're talking about sincerity, and you might be thinking out there, gosh, I can't thank someone for maybe doing something awful. So it's a really simple tool I can give you there is you thank them for the work they did. Note, it doesn't say thanks for the great work, thanks for all the projects you completed, thanks for being a great member of the team. Thanks for doing work. They did do work, and I will stand by that 100% in every termination or layoff, every employee separation that I've participated in. I always, and sometimes it takes a little bit of talking, I've always encouraged the manager or whoever is relaying the information to say thanks for the work you did. And usually they have that aha moment of, okay, it's just being human, and they showed up for work, didn't they? And they said, yeah, but they did an awful job. They showed up for work at least maybe one day, or maybe they didn't show up, but they made the effort to apply for the job. There's always a way to just say, hey, thank you for the effort you did make. So I want to clarify that there always is a place for that. Or even if you're addressing a tough issue, don't make up a compliment. I don't like the idea of a compliment sandwich starting off, oh, you did this great, and then you give a really tough feedback and then you end with something good. I don't think that's sincere. If it is and it works that way, great. But you could even tell someone that you have to address something really strong, even some sort of harassment. Thanks for taking the time to come sit down with me. I'd like to talk about this. You're still thanking them for taking the time. Everyone's busy. Everyone has things going on. Let's be human.
You're tired, because my kid, we do every night before bed, what am I thankful for and what am I going to dream about? And we don't know what they're actually going to dream about, but it's just kind of setting their mind in the right place. And the what am I thankful for, what I notice with my kids a lot of the time is they struggle to come up with something. But it's what you're talking about at the beginning, that learning to flex the muscle.
Yes.
The more we flex this muscle, the easier it gets to see and find the things that we can be grateful for and where we can bring that gratitude. So then those harder conversations, that creativity is just going to be there because you're already so aware of all of that gratitude, and you've been practicing flexing those muscles and getting used to using them. So it becomes easier to figure out how to apply it in any situation. So I'm not going to be so frustrated when my kids can't come up with something anymore because they're just learning how to flex those muscles.
Yes, it's funny because I get frustrated when we do our gratefulness, and every day sometimes they'll say for my warm house, for my food, which are great things.
Yeah.
But I kind of think we said those the last 4 days, and I have to say, don't be critical. They're coming up with things, even if some of them are repetitive, but we've kind of started working into like, what does it mean to be specific, and that it's okay to be thankful for different things, different days. I love the idea of just every morning, one of them that I find I'm repetitive with is just thanks for 2 legs that take me places.
Yes.
And I will never take that for granted. And I have utmost admiration for those that don't have the ability to just get up and walk someplace. I'm going to say thanks for that every day because I am super grateful for my heart to be pumping, for my body to work. And you'll get those people, you mentioned it, Kirsten, they'll say, gosh, you're so, the Pollyanna attitude about being grateful and happy about everything. That's not it.
Right.
It's a way of life that I choose. And if you don't want to choose that way of life, that's fine. I choose it. Call it what you want. Call it Pollyanna, but my life is better for it. And like you said, when it becomes part of your life. Everything
we're about is trying. Even if it's not something you believe in or something that you think fits with you, no tool can only be used one way. And so play with it. See if it changes things. Maybe it's not your style, but maybe you can find your style in it. And maybe you do notice that people respond to you better when you show up that way. So maybe, no, you don't go to the over, the Pollyanna side potential of this, but maybe you just sprinkle it in a little bit more and
Love that.
just see. And if you don't see results or it really is uncomfortable, fine, drop that tool. It's not yours.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
encourage everyone to try. And that's why this challenge this next week is to get those quarters or bracelets or hair things or whatever it is that you can move from one side to the other and just try it and see how
Yes.
people react, see how people respond, see where this goes. And you might be surprised.
Yeah, and I say them out loud, say them to yourself. That's how you get things moving. And then when you're somewhere else, when you're at work, it's going to just happen, and you're going to find you're starting to say things, sincere things, very easily, and everyone's going to just feel great, and it will enrich your life, just like you said.
I love it. Thank you, Jill. This is fabulous. I'm so excited to share this with everyone and be able to share you with everyone. And we'll look forward. I'm sure we'll be back in the not too far future with some other exciting things to talk about. So thank you.
Great, Kirsten. Thank you so much.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe.
And definitely share it with all your friends.
Heck yeah, we can all use more play and creativity in our lives.
Yes, especially with our friends.
Yes. Check us out on social media. We're at Rocket Trike Studios. We'd love to have you join us there.